Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 232 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Owen Bartoszkiewicz. He's a goalie for the Michigan Tech Huskies hockey team. Owen, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you hopping on. Doing all right. Can't say I'm too happy with our weather up here right now, though.
I know snow's been brutal.
I really want spring, man. I got friends downstate and over by Green Bay, and they're all 70 degrees. They're
Yeah,
golfing already. I'm like, what the
yeah,
heck?
yeah. I was down in Mini a couple weeks ago and 60 degrees. We were golfing outside. I was like, I haven't seen grass yet in Houghton. Like, let alone be able to golf.
Yeah, and every time we get a stretch with no snow, then we get this crap. You
Yep.
know, it's brutal. I mean, we usually get an Easter storm up here, but you can always hope that it's going to be here. You don't get one.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
not the case. Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit? I know you've had, a few different stops along the way before getting here to Tech. But let's talk. I know you went to Minnesota first, so let's talk about like your initial college recruiting experience.
yeah. So, I was going into Minnesota. Um, the plan was for me to go after my year in Youngstown, and then LaFontaine ended up leaving at Christmas. And I remember Motzko and Raboyne calling me and just being like, "Hey, like, the plan was for you to come in the fall. How about you come a semester earlier, like get close with the team and stuff, and then next year, like, you'll be able to play." And they were like, coming in right now, like we have Close, who's never played a game at the time. Like he was the third string and then the backup. And I was like, sure, like I'll come in. They were just like, you could honestly play Saturday. Like we don't know how close it's gonna be. Like he's never played a college game, so they really didn't know. And so I ended up going there like a semester early. Went in, I think it was like January 6th or something or 8th. Like I went through the entering process and everything within like 3 days or something. Like, it was crazy. It was nuts to get me in classes, everything. But yeah, so I was there and like my first visit, seeing the campus and everything, they really wanted to win championships. I was like, that yeah, like I want to win. Like I want to learn how to win and be part of that culture. So I just really fell in love with the place and it was just overall like a really good experience.
Yeah, it had to be, I mean, a great experience to be started a program that has such a winning pedigree and just always on the top of college hockey. I mean, just top to bottom, Minnesota Golden Gophers they're always in the hunt.
Yeah, yeah, like my both years I was there, I think we had 15 and 14 draft picks. So I mean, you're practicing every day with guys like Cooley and Snuggerud and Nyes. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. Kind of interesting that your win in your debut was against Lindenwood.
Yeah, it was a full circle moment. Yeah, it definitely was.
That had to be pretty crazy to get a win in your debut. That had to make you feel really good.
Yeah, I didn't think I played the best, but I was happy to get the win.
Yeah. And then, at that time, you had no idea that you'd end up at Lindenwood. I'm sure you weren't thinking about that.
No, no, the plan was for me to be the starter after that year and just, kind of roll with it. And it just kind of Close wanted to come back and he was their guy. So they were just like, well, like, what do you think about going back to juniors? Or like, we don't really want you to transfer. Like, you're going to still be our guy. And I was just like, what? Junior sounds terrible. Like, I did 2 years of that already. I don't need a third. But
Yeah.
it's all worked out so far. So,
Yeah. So after Minnesota, how did you land at Lindenwood? I mean, now that's not a hockey school, right? Like when
yeah.
people think of hockey schools, Minnesota pops in their head, but Lindenwood, newer program, not a hockey school.
Yeah, not very much on the map at all. Yeah, so from many, like the big thing was they wanted me to go back to juniors to play. They didn't want me to come back and sit behind Close for another year. They wanted me to get games. They really wanted me to go to Penticton, which is it was in the BCHL at the time, and they kind of ran the league almost. Like they were a powerhouse and they had kind of like a college setup. They had their own gym and everything. And I just was like, well, like I kind of want to go back to Youngstown. They won last year or the year before I went back. And then I was like, they're kind of in a good spot. They got a new coach. Like hopefully it'll be different. And then kind of had a rough year and ended up decommitting from Minnesota and committed to Western Michigan. And I spent like 3 months there in the summer, and then they ended up cutting me pretty much for Slukinski. And so then it was like, I don't know, within 3 days, Bill Muckle called me and was just, he really wanted me. Like they needed a goalie really badly. And I was kind of waiting to see what any other teams would say, but it was so late in the summer that no other team was really, they weren't going to screw over their goalies that they had just to kind of fill a spot for me. So ended up playing for Bill in Lindenwood, had a pretty good year, and then followed him here. Like me and him bonded a lot last year, and we grew closer this year. So it's been good.
You got a pretty interesting journey. I mean, they want you to come to Minnesota early, so like you expedite the process, dive right in there. Then, hey, go back to juniors. Okay, now, I go to Western, they cut me, go to Lindenwood. I mean, it's not a straight path. I feel like a lot
Mm.
of people think it's always got to be this straight path.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been some highs and lows. I mean, it wasn't the most fun time going back, but it's worked out so far, and I was grateful for the experience. Kind of had to mature a little bit, so.
Does that happen often? Have you seen it with other guys where a college says, "Hey, will you go back to juniors?"
The only other time I know of, like I know guys have chosen to go back, like Chambray this year. I think Chambray. Um, he was with Mercyhurst and he went back at Christmas break, but I think that was just because the team culture and their team wasn't very good. But then the other one that pops in my head was LaFontaine, the Minnesota goalie before me. He started at Michigan, played a year there, and then they basically cut him and said like we don't want you. And he went back to Penticton and played really good. And then he went to Minnesota, and he was their guy. So it was definitely an interesting route. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a few guys that have done it.
Yeah. I haven't talked to anyone before. So when I was looking at your elite prospects, I was like, this doesn't make sense. He went to
Yeah,
college and then he went back to juniors and then he went back to college.
yeah, definitely interesting.
So you got a good relationship with McCult when you were at Lindenwood. When he got the job at Tech, did you, pretty soon know like, hey, I'm gonna follow him, or where was your head at when you saw he got hired somewhere else?
Yeah, so we found out on Twitter and like I think it was a Saturday or something because I slept in and like my buddy called me from the team and he was like, "Yeah, do you see Mux?" And I was like, "No, what about him?" Like I had no idea. And he's like, he left." I was like, "You're kidding. Like you're joking. Like, that's not we're not playing around here." And yeah, he ended up leaving and then me, Prouts and Ando didn't really talk about it or anything. Like we didn't know who he was bringing or not. And I ended up talking to him after I was in the transfer portal, probably like 5 days later or something. Like I kind of knew I wasn't gonna stay since he left. I just didn't know who they would bring in and if their coach was gonna be good or not. Like I thought it was just a good opportunity to leave, and I just ended up following him because we had a good relationship.
Did you know of Tech before you saw you
Yeah,
got the job there? Because some people are like, where the hell is Michigan Tech? Way up in the middle of nowhere, you know?
yeah. One of my youth coaches played here. When I think that was like U13 or something. He played here, and then I remember watching them when they were in the GLI back when it was at Joe Louis. So I knew they
Yeah.
were a school. It's not like some of the Boston schools that I still get mixed up.
Right. I feel like a lot of people in the hockey community know of Tech because Tech's had a lot of success over the years. I mean, national championships and they've had a lot of guys go play in the league with success. Copley has had some recent success at goalie. Matt Roy's had success at defense. So there's guys that people have heard of. but you talk to other people and they're like, "Oh, where do you live?" I say, "Houghton, Michigan. It's where Michigan Tech is." And they're like, "I don't really know what you're talking about." Like, unless they're
Yeah,
from Michigan or Wisconsin. Like,
no.
if you tell somebody from Tennessee, they're like, "What?"
Yeah, like is that like okay, it's in Michigan, cool.
Right, right. I know when McCult got hired, there were a lot of mixed reactions around here because I'm sure you figured out pretty quick. Tech hockey, like the community is fully involved and like the community loves tech hockey. So when I think some people, were happy Sean was gone. Other people wish he would have stayed. But when they brought in McCult, I think everyone's first reaction was he coached at Lindenwood. That's not a hockey school. What's
Yep.
going on? Um, I know some people thought his NHL connections would help with getting guys to the NHL and helping recruit. But I think overall, you guys had like, I mean, a really great year for a first year coach. It's not easy to be a first year coach, especially in a tough conference. So I think he kind of overdid it, expectations for this year. I know the year didn't end the way you guys wanted to, but I mean, you had a pretty good season overall for having a new coach, a new squad, having to start fresh.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think going into this year, like it was kind of unknown how we were gonna do. I think we knew we had a lot of good pieces, but yeah, like you kind of hit it on the head. I mean, you come into a tough conference, like in Lindenwood, you play some teams where it's like, okay, we should kill these guys. Like and in a CCHA, it's not like that. Like every team plays hard. Like it's a full 60-minute game against everyone, and everything's close. Like I mean, realistically, like we were 1 point out of regular season champs or one game out, and we had a couple chances to win that, and we didn't. And then going into playoffs, I mean, it just wasn't our night against Mankato. Like we swept them when we were at home, got swept when we were there. So going into the series, we were tied up, and they got the bounces they needed, and we really didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the way you want to go out, but there's a lot of positives from the season. Beating Northern 8-2 in their barn is definitely a positive. I mean, losing at your own barn, not most fun either, but lighting a lamp that many times in their rink, I'm sure felt good.
Yeah, yeah, it's always nice to beat a rivalry team. I mean, when you can pound on them 8-2 or 2-0, whatever it is. I mean, beating a rivalry team there's a lot of emotions behind it.
Yeah. I mean, they're going through, a tough time. They've had some coaching changes, guys flocking out in the portal. You couldn't expect their team to be that great this year with how many freshmen they had. Super young team. I mean, if guys stick around, they could be good in the future, but it's hard to tell with the portal.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if guys choose to stay there or not. But right now it seems like they got some promising pieces.
Their goalie was pretty solid. He kept them in a
Yeah,
lot of games.
yeah, they both. I mean, I think they average the most shots against. So, I mean, when you're getting pummeled, you're doing everything you can to basically survive back there.
Right. Yeah. And every week, like you kind of mentioned, you got Mankato. You'll say, oh, they got a tough weekend coming up. Oh, now we're playing Bemidji, another tough weekend. We've got Bowling Green. There's no freebies. And even when you get a team like Ferris, who's generally at the bottom, I mean, they'll still give you a battle. I remember a few years ago, first round of the playoffs, I was working for the ticket office at Tech when I was in my senior year, and I mean, Ferris gave Tech everything they had, and I mean, it wasn't an easy walk-through win.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I think before this year, like couple people kind of slept on the CCHA, but coming into the CCHA, I mean, you had so many guys join from Canadian leagues and U Sports, and so it's just you get so many major junior guys. Like they play hard nosed hockey, and they really bring a punch to every game.
That was something I wanted to ask you about. What your thoughts are on the change, having guys from the OHL and WHL can be recruited to college hockey. Because my understanding was always that, like, if you were going to the OHL, you were shooting for pro hockey. You're skipping college. You think, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get pro. And now with this change, obviously that shakes things up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like growing up, it was always one or the other, right? Like you're gonna go play major junior and then go pro, or you're gonna go to college. And as I kind of got older, a lot of guys that they don't go pro, they go to U Sports and they kind of, finish their degrees or whatever there. Um, but like now with the rule change, like I think it makes it more competitive in college. I think the NHL kind of realizes that. You still have like your top prospects, like your Bedards and stuff that are coming out of major junior. But for most guys, like they're going to be using college kind of how US players always used it as, okay, I'm going to go play juniors and then play college and, take those extra couple of years and really develop into the player I need to be so I'm ready when I go pro.
And Tech had you guys had a couple of guys that played major junior last year.
Yeah, we had quite a bit. My two roommates now, Carson Latimer and Luca Fasciano, they both came from U Sports, and I think they both played in the WHL. And then a bunch of our freshmen, probably half of the class came from the Dub or the O or the Q.
Yeah, I feel like it's really got to help some of the smaller schools like Tech and recruiting. Like it opens up the recruiting pool. You've got more guys that you can go after now.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes every team closer. Like I think just the CCHA alone, I mean, the top six teams, like you're looking at guys that are like, oh, this guy put up a point a game last year. Like he's a good player, and it just made every game closer. And I think it's just gonna make college hockey all around more competitive.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. That's what we want. I feel like there's some other college sports where it seems like the gap is growing from the top to the bottom
Hmm.
and it's not entertaining. Like I don't know if you follow women's college basketball at all. I don't follow it a ton, but like watching UConn roll team after team, they've won like 55 games in a row going through last year. It's like that's not really fun to watch because whoever plays them is probably going to get stomped right out of the gym.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I know when Paige Buchers was there and then Caitlin Clark at Iowa, like they were definitely seemed like powerhouses and they were gonna blow teams out of the water. And then also like my girlfriend played women's ice hockey and it just seemed like the top five, top 10 teams, like it was just a drop off after them. So it definitely seems like girls hockey and stuff are getting more competitive and they're filling up better roles and across the board. But I think overall, like I think it'll help men's college hockey be very competitive down the line.
For sure. And like you said, it'll help the NHL, understand like, hey, these guys are good players. Look where they played before they went to college. They're putting up points in college. We can sign more guys out of college. I mean, there's so many guys, if you look at guys that played college hockey, some of the top players in the league. Um, guys that are I can't think of it. Of course, I say that now I'm drawing a blank, but there's a lot of really good players that played Big Ten hockey or whatever, and they're great
Yeah,
players in the league. So
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I think a couple of goalies that come to mind are like Connor Hellebuck. He played at UMass Lowell. Um, I think it just helps goalies, really. It really does give them a couple extra years because goalies primed are a little later. But and then you got Spencer Knight who was at BC, um, Fowler. I mean, you got a bunch of guys they're coming through. I mean, look at Trey Augustine. He's gonna go to the Red Wings and probably tear it up. So I think it really just helps overall all the guys go through college. I think it just helps them be more prepared for the pro level of play. I know we only play half the games pros do, where major junior plays a lot more. But I think the understand of that is like you gotta show up every night. You can't really take a night off. Then when you go to pro, like you understand that and you understand the toll it takes, so you know how to prepare your body.
for sure, yeah, Augustine's a good recent one.
Hmm.
He's definitely looks like he's going to be a good player. The one that kept coming to mind, and I wanted to double check, was Kyle Connor. I know he
Hmm.
played at Michigan. I mean, he's a heck of a player in the league, puts up a lot of points. So there's definitely plenty of guys come out of college. It opens it up now, right? It doesn't have to be if I go to the OHL, I'm pro or bust. Like I can test the waters. Well, maybe this isn't for me. I'm going to go to college now. you got more opportunities for guys.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So you did the St. Louis Blues development camp.
Yep.
So what's that look like when you go to development camp?
So going through it last year, there was a couple teams that I was kind of talking to for dev camp, and then getting there, like you get in a hotel room with like another player, you kind of shoot it around with them and have fun, and then going to the rink. Couple teams are different. Couple teams don't like to skate a lot, or they like to keep workouts light. But the Blues, we would work out every day for like 30, 45 minutes before a skate, and then we would skate for like 45 and then play like a 30-minute scrimmage. And it just gave the fans an opportunity to really see the top prospects they had. I know Carbonell, he was there, he was signing a bunch of stuff after the games and stuff. And then you get to see the locker room, see how the Blues staff are, you get some Blues merch. Um and then like you get to bond with guys afterwards. We played volleyball together and just stuff like that. I know I think it might be Boston, the Bruins. I think they go to like a Red Sox game or they go check out Wrigley and stuff like that. So I think it's really just about seeing the atmosphere that the professional players get to be in every day and how they get treated. And then on top of that, like you understand, they kind of tell you like what it takes, how to address the media, how to perform, and you just see the standard they have for everything.
Are any of the actual Blues players around at all when this is going on?
There was a handful. I can't think off the top of my head. There was a couple prospects I ended up signing that year. Um, I want to say I know we saw Bennington there one of the days. But at Lindenwood, like we shared a rink with them, so we would see them practice all the time. Usually they were practicing while we were working out if they weren't playing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely interesting. You got a college team working out above you, and you see like you got 20 pro players on the ice, and like, oh yeah, those guys are good. Yep.
For sure. So I was looking at your Instagram and at a lot of your posts, like when you have a game or a season or something you post, you post it with the right stuff, which is
Yeah.
like a hydration
Yep.
deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got introduced to them last year. Um, it's a hydration mix. It's got a bunch of electrolytes, a bunch of salt. Um, I lose about I think like 15 to 20 pounds per game or so. So it's like you gotta do whatever you can to maintain
Yeah.
water levels. And I just found their stuff is amazing. They're really nice to work with. So it was a really good mix.
Yeah. That's cool. So what you're saying is if you want to get shredded, just lose a bunch of weight, become a goalie?
Yeah, I mean it gets hot in the gear, so yeah, you'll definitely shred some pounds, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I remember seeing stuff, Bobrovsky, different NHL goalies that talked about how much weight they lose in a game. It's really crazy when you think about it. So, like you said, you got to stay on top of it, keeping your body in good shape. And
Yeah, the first night's usually not too bad because you kind of have Thursday to prepare. So I usually try to drink as much water as I can, and then come Friday, I try to usually finish like a gallon or so, like before the games, and then Saturday is the tough day because it's usually a tight turnaround playing at 6 or 5, and it's hard to squeeze in enough water just because it's like I think around 10 pounds is like 2 gallons of water you're supposed to drink, and it's tough to get down in about like 7 hours. So,
right, and then you don't want to have to be going to the bathroom like all throughout the game,
oh yeah, yeah.
right? Do you have a favorite goalie? Favorite NHL goalie?
Right now I'd probably have to say Shesterkin. I mean, he's pretty much carrying the Rangers on his shoulders as is, and I think just the way he plays, he's very aggressive and almost calm at the same time. He's got elite skills. So he's really fun to watch. But growing up, I was a big Fleury fan. He just made the game so much fun, and it just looked like he was enjoying himself.
Yeah. Who's your team? Who do you follow?
I don't really like, I wouldn't say I have a team. I guess like I follow Rangers. Like I usually just watch goalies. Like if a good goalie's playing, I'll
Yeah.
watch. But I mean, I always root for the Wings. Like I always want them to do good, like hometown kid, you gotta root for the Wings.
Yeah. I can't stand the Wings. I know it's weird because I'm from Michigan. I'm like anti all Michigan sports though. When I was a kid, I was like, I want to root for all these different teams. So I'm a huge Ducks fan, which people are like, well, you're probably like the only Ducks fan in Michigan. I'm like, well, there's got to be a few more somewhere, but a couple other people
Yeah.
with good taste.
Yeah, yeah. My girlfriend's in Minnesota, so like I kind of battle between the two. Like I'm a big Lions fan, but I always root for the Vikings. Like I want them to do good too. And then baseball is the same. Like I want both. I like the Tigers more, but I always root for them both. And then basketball, I love the Timberwolves. Like I can't stand the Pistons. I mean, Cade Cunningham's really good, and like I like his highlights and stuff. But I love Ant-Man. Like Anthony Edwards he's
Oh
the
yeah.
guy. Like I love watching him play.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy with the Pistons. They got me a, or I mean, not the Pistons, the Timberwolves. They got me a parlay this year. I needed the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Timberwolves to win 45 games. And the Timberwolves were the last one to do it. And I was looking at the schedule like, okay, they've got to do it. They got 10 games left or whatever it was. They have to do it. Of course,
Yeah.
then they'd lose, and I'd be like, oh, come on, I just need three more wins. I mean, they got there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Chomping at the bit.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a Celtics fan for basketball. And people always say, "Oh, you're a bandwagon," but I started rooting for them like when I was in middle school, and they sucked. It's when they had the Isaiah Thomas, the shitty Isaiah Thomas, right? Not the
Oh,
one from the Pistons, like
yeah.
they
Yeah.
they weren't that good, right? Like
No.
between that after that title they won in 2008 or whatever, like they had some down years, and that's when I started rooting for them. And honestly, it was because like when I was a kid, I liked Notre Dame because like they're Irish. I had a lot of family that were Irish and went there, and I was like, oh, this mascot looks Irish too. Like I'm gonna follow this team, just being a kid.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty good to be a Celtics fan,
Yeah,
especially
I guess so.
especially with Tatum coming back from that Achilles injury and like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're shaping up to be a good team again.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't we wrap up on if people are open, I always like to talk about faith on the podcast. I saw
Yeah.
that in your bio you've got Isaiah 41:10. So
Yeah.
obviously that one means something to you or you wouldn't put it on there. So what is the meaning for you? Why did you pick that specific, verse to put in there?
Yeah, I mean, like, do not be dismayed, do not be discouraged. I think it just kind of resonated with me going back to juniors and stuff. That's when I kind of found my faith again. And it, it it's God's plan. Like, it's you gotta take the punches. Like, just because it's in God's hands doesn't mean it's always gonna be good, right? Like you're gonna get tested, and when it rains, you can't have flowers without rain. So you just gotta take it, move on, and you gotta learn if the process is good or bad. You kind of go through it all.
Yeah. I always think too, like there have been so many things that have happened in my life, and in the moment, I'm like, I can't see why this is good for me. 2 years later, I'll be like, all right, that makes sense now. Like, right, like God's got the whole plan laid out, and in the moment, we're like, how is this a good thing? But
Yeah.
you just gotta trust. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Like I think my girlfriend's really religious, and meeting her at Minnesota was like probably the best thing that came out of Minnesota. I mean, she's definitely been a blessing. And then, if I didn't get cut from Western, I would have never met Bill, and I never would have followed him here and met all my buddies here. So it's definitely been a journey to say the least, but it's all worked out for the better, and I think it's made the person I am today. So
Yeah, right, for sure. I mean, all the trials and tribulations of life, all the struggles we go through, right? There's different versions of the saying, but people will say, like, okay, if you pray to be courageous, God make me courageous. He doesn't just snap his fingers and make you courageous. He puts something in ahead of you where you can, you know, become courageous through that action. Or God, I want a cake. Well,
Yeah.
God's gonna give you flour and he's gonna give you all the ingredients and okay, but now you make the cake because like he doesn't just give you he gives you the tools, he gives you all this stuff. He doesn't just hand you the cars to a Lamborghini and say, here you go, like a magic genie, right? I feel like that's what people they get this
Yeah.
idea like I'm gonna ask and I'm gonna receive it, boom, right in my palm of my hand.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he gives you the opportunity. I always think of the story. There was a guy in like an abandoned boat or whatever. He was lost at sea, and he like prayed to God and like save me. And like cruise ship went by, and they like were trying to save him, and he goes, "No, like God's gonna save me." And then another one goes by, the same thing. Another one goes by, same thing, and he ends up dying of dehydration because he's lost at sea. And when he meets God, he's like, "Why didn't you save me, God?" He's like, "I gave you the opportunity to save yourself. Like, what do you mean?"
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good one. No, no, he's gonna save you. Trust. Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you think? He was just gonna pick you up and carry you out? Like, no,
Yeah.
that cruise ship was your saving grace right there.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important. I love now too, right? More professional athletes speak out about their faith. I think that's awesome. Um, I don't know if how much you followed the men's March Madness, but High Point upset Wisconsin in the first round. They had the three-point shooter Chase Johnston, and I had him on the podcast last year before they made the tournament, and
Hmm.
he is just a fantastic he's using his platform awesome. He's spreads the word whenever he can. Just a great guy, and I think that's so important, right? Like you're on national television after the game, and the first thing you do is think like you lost or whatever, maybe, and they're asking you these tough questions, and the first thing you do is thank God. You could be all pissed off in that moment. Hey, we just lost this Super Bowl, but hey, thank God for being here, the journey, the experience. So you see guys like that, and I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like I remember Bobrovsky after they won the cup, like he was thanking God and just speaking out about his faith, and it really resonated with me because I mean he's one of the staples in hockey now, and it's comforting to see guys like that. They're at the pinnacle, right? Like you want to get there, and they're relying on the same guy I'm relying on, so it makes you feel a little better.
Yeah, Tage Thompson. I know he's really started to
Hmm.
speak out. You got movie stars like Mark Wahlberg and like all these big guys, like you said, like it sometimes it helps when you see these people that maybe you looked up to or you love their movies or you love watching them play their sport and you're like, hey, they believe the same thing I believe. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, I think it definitely, it almost makes him more human because you see him all the time. You're like, oh my God, like that guy, he's done all this or he's done this and that. And, when you really talk to him or you have an interview with them and they're like, yeah, like, my faith's a big part of my life. My family's always going to church. We love God. We love Jesus. I think it really just, it makes that human connection of like, okay, like we're all looking up to the same guy. We're all connected, we all love each other. So
Yeah, it's easy to put that distance between yourself and someone else for what they do for a living, right? Like that guy plays in the NHL. But like you said, at the end of the day, we all pray to the same God and we all put our pants on the same way. We're all human. They started the same place most of us started, right? Like growing up in small towns or doing whatever, like they might have made it to where they're at now and yeah, society puts them on this pedestal for their skill, but they still attribute it all back to what God's given them. And yeah, I think it's incredible. And I think that in that way, we've seen a huge movement in pro sports, and it's just fantastic.
yeah, no, I love it. I mean, I hopefully someday after winning a big championship or even losing one, give glory to God and just be grateful for the experience.
Right. Exactly. Be grateful for the journey. I had a while back, Don Beebe played for the Bills and the Packers. He was with the Bills when they lost four straight Super Bowls. And I was like, ask him about it. And he said, it's all about the journey. It's like, if I could do it over again, I would do it the same exact way, even though I know I lose four in a row, because I had such a blessing to be a part of that team, to be with those guys, to experience that journey. Like, it's not all about winning it. And I was like, that was just like a tremendous like mindset to think about. Like, this guy lost four Super Bowls in a row, and if he could change it, he wouldn't change it.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely makes you realize how grateful some people are and how they realize like it's not always about the money or the championships. It's about enjoying the people you got around you and the company you have just going to the rink every day or going to the field.
Right. At the end of the day, the guys that you're playing with right now, the friendships that you're building throughout your career, like that sticks with you forever.
Yeah,
Money can come
exactly.
and go, and championships are great in the moment, but like those bonds that you're building in life, that's everything.
100%.
Well, Owen, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast. Like I said, you've got an interesting journey. I always like to share those. Just, if there's a kid who's going through recruiting right now or whatever, like they see it doesn't have to be a certain way. Like you can go through your college experience, whatever sport you're playing, and if there's a couple bumps in the road, that's okay. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.